Let me put a slow field here. Hopefully he'll chill. Get a little bit low on health. I just got pushed in the storm. We're fine. Work riot. Shoot him. That was 4 million. That was 4 million. We hit it. Oh my god. Okay. 4 million with this build, or with Warcry. Somebody clip that. That was like such a clutch shot to jump in the air over the husks. Oh my god. Alrighty boys, welcome back once again to another video. How you guys doing? Guys, today we're going to be going over the new black metal bow and arrow known as the Night Owl in Fortnite Save the World. Is this weapon as good as the name sounds? Well, it does a little bit of damage, but how exactly does that work on your normal mission-to-mission basis? That's what we're going to be finding out in today's video. Now, before I do jump into it, I just want to give a quick shout out to my man Sean over on Twitter, who ended up using my code at gfuel.com, picking up the newest iced coffee flavor, as well as some other stuff. The dude's a huge supporter on Twitch as well, and I greatly do appreciate it, my dude. If any of you guys would like to support me and the content here on the channel, G Fuel is the only sponsor. Code demonjoefr for 30% off all the way until the 26th, I believe. It's a great way to support the channel, and I would greatly appreciate it. But let's jump into the video and talk about the Night Owl. Now, if you guys do want to pick up the Night Owl for yourselves, you guys can get it for 1680 gold in the weekly store. And like I said, this is the black metal bow. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be a little bit adamant because it is a black metal weapon, and normally black metal weapons haven't been the best, although there are a few good ones. A lot of people are going to think this bow might not be pretty good. Just a quick TLDR for a lot of you guys watching, it is very good at what it's meant to do, but there are a few other things that kind of really drag it down from where I'd like it to be, and I'm going to go ahead and explain all that right now, but it may take us a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the perks that you do want to roll with on this weapon, which is going to be a double crit damage, crit rating, and damage to miss monsters and bosses. Physical doesn't matter, it could be physical or fire, doesn't matter there. The unique perk is obviously, you know, killing 2 enemies will give you an explosion and damage yourself, and deal damage based on your missing health. It'll do it in just about a tile radius, and that's kind of normal for a lot of the black metal weapons. Now, I'm sure you guys are asking the question as to why I'm not using the actual black metal perk on this weapon, which gives you a bonus of 80% damage based on the percentage of your missing health. Well, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys 2 different tests that I ended up doing between both of these bows and 2 different builds that complement the bows, you know, the actual rolls that we have on them. So the first one is actually a screenshot of me in the Mythic Storm King fight against the actual mini boss that he spawns. Of course, this is a solo, and I'm hitting around 1.9 million damage with a totally rocking out build, as well as damage to miss monsters and bosses. Moving on over to the actual build where I want to damage myself and using the 80% perk, we're actually hitting around 2 million damage. Now, the hero loadouts that I'm actually rolling with on this, here's the one that you want to damage yourself with. We have Rabbit Raider Jonesy, who's going to give us the most damage with any sniper rifle because of the, you know, insane crit damage that he gives. Bioenergy Source, that's going to be the team perk to give us more shield based off our use of abilities. We're going to want this to maintain our low health profile so that our shield can keep us safe. We have Unearthly Treat, which gives us around 48% bonus damage to miss monsters and bosses based on our missing health. Saurian Might gives us some extra damage, Locked and Reloaded, more damage after a reload. Quickscope is more sniper damage, and Bomb Shoot is there to keep us alive. Now, the Totally Rockin' Out build that I went with is Rabbit Raider Jonesy and Commander, with Totally Rockin' Out as the team perk, and the support team is Subwafers, Battle Beat, and Battle Beat, what she does is she gives a 50% damage bonus whenever you activate Totally Rockin' Out. Then we get Quickscope for the extra damage, Locked and Reloaded for the extra reload, and Saurian Might for the extra damage. Now, the reason, of course, as to why I went with the damage to miss monsters and bosses is because of the way the Totally Rockin' Out build works. Whenever you are trying to give yourself extra damage based off of missing health, you get the 80% if you're actually using the perk, plus the 48% from Unearthly Treat. It's going to have a little bit of diminishing returns there, so your percentage isn't going to be as high as just adding 48% and 80%. It's going to have a little bit of diminishing returns there. Whenever we look at the Totally Rockin' Out build, we're going to get 50% bonus damage from Battle Beat on top of the 36% extra damage that we get with miss monsters and bosses if we were using using that perk on the Night Owl. Due to the diminishing returns of trying to stack more and more damage based off of missing health, the extra 50% plus the 36% whenever you were using Totally Rockin' Out just really works wonders and gets you right up next to where you should be. You're hitting 1.9 million in a solo with TRO, you're hitting 2 million if you're trying to lower your health. It's pretty much obvious which one is the better choice here. And this is all without even talking about the fact that Totally Rockin' Out is going to give you much better crit rating than this other build, as the Night Owl actually suffers from not being able to use 2 crit ratings without sacrificing tons of damage, which is why we only have 1 on there. With a 38% crit hit chance, if you're trying to get the most out of this weapon, you want to use Totally Rockin' Out, because not only are you going to hit around 2 million in a solo, you're also going to be able to do it more consistently. Now, I want to go ahead and talk about this weapon comparatively to the boom bow. If we go ahead and take a look at this comparison right here, we have the Night Owl with better damage and headshot damage with 78k versus 64k, 157k versus 129k. The boom bow is also going to have better crit hit chance and better range, and also 4,000 more impact, which the Night Owl actually has 4,000 base, the boom bow is 8,000, so it's going to have a little bit better impact there as well. For those of you guys that were curious, that is how this weapon stacks up against the boom bow. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show some footage of some smasher tests in the background and stuff, and kind of give you guys my opinions on the Night Owl. Now, the Night Owl as a weapon is basically a weapon that you only want to use against miss monsters and bosses. This weapon is a very slow firing weapon that is going to get a lot of damage once you charge it all the way up. I mean, obviously you guys saw in that intro clip, you know, with a war cry, with low health, with I believe an ear splitter buff as well, we hit around 4 million damage. And this bow right here is basically the bow you want to use if you want to deal super high amounts of damage to high health targets. However, that does also mean that it does come with its fair share of downsides, which I'm going to get into right now. Of course, it's a black metal weapon, so you are only locked to physical and to fire. However, I don't really mind this as much. Having a, you know, element specific weapon isn't the end of the world, and even if you are using this thing with just physical, I mean, I do have a water smasher test here, and as you guys can see, I mean, you're dealing tons of damage to the water smasher. This is a solo, by the way, so I could have two-shot him if I wanted to. You're just doing a lot of damage in general with this weapon, so the physical kind of overrides the fact that, you know, you're not using element specific or energy, kind of similar to the Candy Corn LMG and why I like it so much. But this weapon does have some really bad downsides in the form of 2 different things. Number 1, which I've already touched on, is the crit rating. This thing has 38% crit hit chance, and that is really, really bad for a bow, which is why I highly suggest Totally Rockin' Out unless you want to absolutely pull your hair out of your head. Of course, you can go with the double crit rating, but you're going to take a huge loss to your damage, which is the whole point of even using this thing to begin with. You want to have that super high damage because very rarely are you going to be able to hit more than 1 enemy per shot, which, you know, you're going to have to rely on that final perk, which really doesn't do all that great, you know, anyways, right? So you're really not going to want to sacrifice that damage. The other thing I really dislike about this weapon is the sense that whenever you are using it, you're going to notice that it's going to have a lot lower of a drawback speed compared to the boom bow, and that is a huge problem. Whenever you do get it fully charged, you're going to get 215% damage. However, it takes you a long time to do that, and if you're not going to be critting once you finally let go, that 215% damage is practically next to none. So you're forced into a Totally Rockin' Out build, and even when using Totally Rockin' Out to try to balance out the crit rating and still get good damage, it's still very inconsistent, and that's something I really don't like about this weapon. Consistency is key, and whenever you have a weapon that pulls back very slowly and almost half of the time doesn't even hit the crit that you need it to when you need it to, it's a very frustrating thing. I think, you know, without a doubt, this thing does absolute ridiculous amounts of damage, and it serves its purpose as that miss monster killer, as that boss killer, as anything that you need to damage. I mean, this thing can one-shot the crystals on the Mythic Storm King. It's pretty freaking powerful. But the consistency is where I find issue with this weapon. If this weapon had launched with 15% crit hit chance at its base instead of 10%, I honestly think it would be a monster. And I know that sounds weird, right? Only a 5% difference, but the end result would be a crit hit chance in the, you know, around like 45%, 46, and that would be extremely good for people that not only don't want to use Totally Rockin' Out, but people that do want to use Totally Rockin' Out are going to be even more consistent than before. So having this thing have a really, you know, long drawback speed, on top of the fact that its range isn't as good as the boom bow either, which doesn't make any sense. I feel as though the range should be 25,000 like the boom bow, and so it shouldn't have such a big arc, because if this thing deals tons of damage, then it needs to fly really fast and hit the enemy really really hard, and it only makes sense for it to kind of be more of a straight line anyways. I just wish it had better range. I wish the drawback speed wasn't so long, because that really highlights the crit hit chance and why this weapon is very inconsistent. Now, whenever this weapon does hit stuff, it does hit very hard, but like I said, this weapon can only be good when it works, and unfortunately, it's only gonna work around 50% of the time, even with totally rocking out as your team perk. So overall, I think the weapon's pretty good. I think it has its usability. It definitely has its shortcomings, and I would give it a 6.5 to a 7 if I'm being generous. I just can't get over that crit hit chance, but taking a look at this weapon, seeing the damage it can do is really awesome, but in practicality, mission to mission gameplay and stuff like that, where it really matters, you're gonna be finding a lot of frustrations when using this weapon, and that's really my main pet peeve. It's just the crit hit chance really ruins this weapon from the ground up. Had it been a little bit better, had it had a little bit more range, and maybe the drawback speed a little less, this could be your end-all be-all single target bow, while the boom bow could be your multi-target bow. But as it still stands, in my opinion, the boom bow is the king. However, I definitely say the night owl is better than the other bows that have come out recently. But guys, that's pretty much it for me. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments down below, as that is my review on the night owl. If you guys did enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like on it. If you disliked it, then make sure to leave a dislike. Guys, if you guys do enjoy the content, make sure you do subscribe, as I do make videos like this almost every single day. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you all next time.